Otimoi, Otakenge. My name is Obwenze from Mboka A Nziambe, God's Universal Village in Gabon. We are here as an extension to our village in Gabon, an extension to the NGO which that entity is. We are located for a portion of in Costa Rica, introducing the ancient principles of Bwete according to the Babongo First Nations people of Gabon. And we're here to promote two incredible things above and beyond all things. So I'd like to start this way. We are here because of brotherhood of man and unity. There is no higher principle than the individual discovering that they are completely inviolate, that they are replicating and projecting their experience in an undivided whole, which is Zambe Kana, God, and that the reconciliation of God to self is this realization of what I just said. And this is why we are here. So we are amongst a proliferation of people selling Iboga and our tradition off. And we are carving a way here to dispel the supposed authority on Bwete and Iboga and promote, sustain and protect the ancient wisdom of esoterics and the true understanding of what it means to be following and living within Bwete spiritualism. Bwete spiritualism is whole, meaning that all things are enmeshed within one another. There is only one thing, and each individual's expression is of that one thing, made in the image of creation. And then from this, we start. We are here to show people that if we're interested in Iboga, we have been first prompted to attend Iboga, and typically that would be through malady or melee or situations of which we're not happy in our life. And this is the locomotion for you to arrive at Iboga. But once an individual has arrived at Iboga, there needs to be a reorientation towards adapting the spiritualism of wholeness, which is going to wipe away the fragmentary problems that made you arrive. What I mean by that is you come because you think things are outside of yourself, but to understand Iboga and Bwete in the ancient mind, the intermediary, which is the Maghanga, myself, the healer that has a foot in both spiritual and physical world, is there to act as a living example of someone who doesn't use fragmentary thought or is in division and lives without contradiction. So I'm there to guide the person, reorientate them back into a wholeness so they can truly adapt to what Iboga is teaching. And this is what I must say from here. 100% of the people that arrive at this true adaptation here will discover that the reasons that first promoted them to this position are very different once they ingest Iboga and once they start to become part of the Iboga and Nziambe process, which is God's universal mirror, which is our ceremonies here. You will see far more than you ever imagined. 100% of the patients leave here astounded as they start to learn the qualities of their mind. They start to see that they aren't their mind. They start to see that they can observe themselves. They start to see that they are what they observe. Highly important realizations, and ones we are incredibly sensitive about and understanding of. This is what makes clear distinctions between the ancient delivery that is here without monetary gain. For money is corruptible, and money corrupts the relationship between the patient and the supposed facilitator, if you'd like to call them that. Although we don't have a facilitator in the tradition of Bwete. There is not one existing. There's no provider or facilitator. What there is a Maghanga, a healer, and that person is chosen by a high master, a Nemo, and is part of a community and a community vision. Now, the community is something that must be lived in, and Bwete cannot be part-time. And I've said this in a lot of my other talks, if people have followed. 100% of the offerings in the West are part-time. So these aren't what Bwete is. And I must also say 100% of the offerings outside of our offering in the West are all deviant, neo-colonial impacted forms of Bwete. They are fetish-based. Ngonde Nadapuma and Asangidi are hiding under the names of Masoko. Masoko has many deviant branches. Once it was introduced from the Babongos to the Mitsogos, the first form was Miobe. Before that we have Dusumba. So there's lots of history here, and these videos are actually meant to be educational, so I encourage people to contact me to ask and to learn more, because the supposed assumed authorities on Bwete and Iboga in the West are maladjusted, which not a lot of people like to hear. But the reality is, if you're living on the ground in Gabon and also here, you'll come to quickly see the truth. Now, these are monetary. If Iboga and Bwete is being sold, it instantly renders the ability for you to become whole useless. The money must be appropriated in our modern day and age back to the people who originate the tradition and back into promoting the spiritual elevation, which ensures the success of the patient whilst they're here. So I will attempt to impart some of the freedom of which we can actually offer people here, because this process is about liberation of the individual, emancipation of the mind. Because we're living in malady, we're living in illusion. The Western world on whole, and I do not discriminate, lives in an illusion. If you work for a CEO or a company or someone in any way, you're in illusion. If you keep buying cars because you like them, you're in illusion. These are harsh facts, but the thing is your journey begins to start to understand these at the point of Iboga, and Iboga is only going one way, and that is to show you the illusion for what it is, that nothing is required. The individual needs not one iota of a thing for it to be realized as inviolate and completely whole and merged with everything it seeks. These things are distractions. So if you see people offering Bwete and Iboga and they're materially orientated, which they all are, because I would challenge any of them to actually have the capacity to turn around and say, you know what, I'm going to do all my retreats for free. Go on there. We'll see. That's the test. And it's very easy to see. And once money's involved, you've divided man with someone who has money, someone who doesn't, for instance. That's division. That's corruption. From there, you can explore with your own mind there what happens according to that. The behavior, I'm talking about the subtle behavior. I've worked with individuals before, it was all money orientated. The moment the person's with the Iboga, they turn off. They don't do any more work. Oh, they'll figure it out themselves. They've turned off. They become old, tired, and jaded. 15 years of working with the Iboga without understanding it, just putting spoons in people's mouths, seeing all sorts of terrible things because of your lack of spiritual ability to control those situations, and you become quite jaded and cynical. Now, we reform people and individuals here at this center as representatives of our village. True Gangas. We reformed in the last 6 months 5 individuals who have been to different retreats in this country and others to do with Iboga. Not one recognized the effects of the Iboga given by us here, and the love and compassion and connection and promotion of the individual's inviolate nature. They could not believe that this was what Iboga really was. They'd all had Iboga sometimes twice before, and not one had come to understand their problem or fix their problem. They'd had superficial effects that they continually to expound upon themselves to create positivity, but these still ended up them being jaded into this situation of not understanding reality. 100% of the people that come here leave understanding reality. That's the difference. And I've been part of hundreds of healings before our abilities here and our capacities currently. And not once did I see the effects that we have here. Now, why do I bother saying this? It's not a selling spiel. I'm telling people that if you're looking to come to Iboga, it must be given completely ethically towards the indigenous to receive the power of Iboga and the spirit. Whether we like to see it or not, that Bwete spiritualism and Iboga have never been separate. And people here just recently could not believe with the spiritual adaptation how different the Iboga was. Highly important. The ancient way. We contain that, and we're here to share brotherhood of man and unity. I implore all people to listen. For even if you're not coming here, I don't need you to come here because we don't sell. And I also have the capacity, and I feel very free because we're not about money, to turn many away who are not ready. And it could be unsavory for them at that time. Or they could be disrupting proceedings of others here. Now, any of these other places, they don't do that. Money's money. You see? This is a problem. This is not Bwete money. We're not allowed to handle it like that. It's Bwete spiritualist. It must be disseminated, as I said, in our day and age. Returned back into the programs that we conduct at Mboka A Nziambe. Our orphanage, the orphanage. Medical care for our extended family. Feeding 3,000 Babongo pygmies in the territory. Reformation, ceremonies. Intercultural exchange with other indigenous. All of these programs continue through the money that's given here as a donation to our process of being introduced to Iboga. So whilst you're learning that your problems were an illusion and you're becoming healthy, you're giving back. And that's what the power is in that reciprocity. So once again, we're an education service and we don't need people to come here. But if you're interested and you're even curious listening to me, because you should listen to yourself, listen to me. I say this all of the time. Really listen to truth. And who cares if you don't like what I'm saying or anything else? Still call me and ask me a question. Because we're here for brotherhood of man and unity. That's a very different delivery of Iboga right there. That's how it should be. That's how it was thousands of years ago, and that's how it should always. Any time where it's become about money and selling initiations or selling trips to Gabon, no, it's nothing to do with Bwete. I'm sorry. Sorry for all those people that think it is. There's no amount of you attempting to convince others will ever dispel the truth of what you're doing. So here I am to extend our love and compassion in an effort to promote brotherhood of man and unity for all who seek. The seeking can stop when you arrive in Iboga, and it should. If you're prepared to arrive and have your seeking stop and find the ultimate answer, and nothing else matters from that point, and that's what you're looking for, this is the delivery. So may God grace everybody here. May Zambekana grace everybody here.